right, good morning and welcome to the Jones Edmunds Engineering Rocks podcast. I am Ken Vogel, Managing Director at Jones Edmunds for Civil Environmental and the host of today's show. My guests today are Executive Director Perry Kent and Assistant Director Joel Woolsey of the New River Solid Waste Association. Let me introduce you to them and give you a little background on the two of them. Perry's the executive director. As I said, he's made a career really at New River Solid Waste Association. He was their first employee. Congratulations there, Perry.
Thanks.
He started out as a heavy equipment operator and really has worked his way up to assistant director, and just recently in the May of 2018 was promoted to the executive director. So Perry is a SWANA certified landfill manager and has managed really all the construction aspects at the landfill facility. So congratulations, and thank you for being here today, Perry.
Good to be here, Ken.
And Joel Woolsey is the assistant director. He has over 26 years of experience in the solid waste industry. You know, prior to being at New River, he was at a company called Jones Edmunds and Associates, where he was a project manager and a client manager in our Gainesville solid waste department. His specializations are landfill gas collection and control systems, solid waste permitting, landfill design, and GIS and CAD applications. He's got extensive experience in landfill gas utilization and beneficial use of carbon credit marketing. Joel, really, thank you both for really being here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Good to be here.
Awesome. You know, New River, you know, they've been on the cusp of innovation, you know, for many years, ever since they opened, you know, back in the early 90s. You guys have had a close relationship with the University of Florida and Dr. Tim Townsend, as well as, you know, the Hinckley Center for Solid Waste and Hazardous Management. Dr. Townsend's had, you know, numerous master's students, doctoral students, you know, doing all different types of studies, you know, at the landfill, bioreactors, waste decomposition, really making New River a research facility. You know, some of those innovations, you know, just last year, you guys finished the construction of the final cover of an exposed geomembrane project, which is the first in Florida for a permitted final cover. So really exciting project there that just, you know, finished the first phase really last year. But then you've also done some neat things, you know, custom gas wells. What was the name of that, Joel? I love the name of it.
The I-wells?
The I-wells. But, you know, you do things like that. You know, you've used CityWorks for gas collection and control system management. You know, you guys are always trying to be on the cusp of innovation. So really, why is that important to New River to be out there on the cusp of those innovations?
I think it's important, Ken, because you know, solid waste sometimes can be a little bit of a stagnant industry, and we certainly think that there's always newer and better ways to do things, and leveraging technology. We might not think of that in terms of a solid waste facility, but leveraging technology and changes that are being made is important. It lets us run our operations more efficiently. A number of those things you mentioned really come down to efficiency, letting us operate more efficiently, therefore letting us have fewer employees to do the same amount of work. And it just lets us be a part of an ever-evolving industry that we feel is an important thing for us. That's why we've teamed up with UF and why we continue to see ourselves as, we've kind of coined the term, we're a laboratory for change. We're one of UF's biggest field laboratories, and we hope that we can always maintain that relationship.
Exactly. Well, before we get going into today's topic, you know, if anyone that's listening today has any questions, you know, please feel free to ask some questions through the chat function, and we'll try to get them as we're talking, as well as maybe save some time at the end of the conversation. So you can use the chat function. But today we are here to talk about gas. You know, for about 10 years, New River really looking for ways to create a landfill gas to energy project. And now finally, last month, a groundbreaking at New River for a project that will convert your gas into pipeline quality natural gas injected into a nearby pipeline. So that's a very brief description. So why don't you guys give a little more detail about what that project is all about?
Well, the one thing I want to talk about, Kim, before we get too far into the project is, you know, you're talking about cutting edge with New River. When we took on the bioreactor project, we knew right off the rip by injecting leachate back into the landfill. And we weren't the traditional bioreactor. Our moisture contents never got to that height. By helping the bugs jumpstart by recirculating leachate into the landfill, we knew the curve would be at the beginning instead of the end with our gas production.
Right.
So obviously from way back, we wanted to make sure that we had a good gas project to take on, so that when we do recirculate, it would help us with the beginning of the gas. So we always knew we were going to go after some sort of project, what it would be. And we looked at obviously a number of them. We've been looking 10 years to put a project here, and some of them didn't work. They worked other places, but our location or the size of our facility didn't help us. So we've been doing it for a while. We looked at producing power. We looked at maybe sending it to the state prison to help run their boilers. I mean, we looked at a lot of projects. So we went back out, Jones, Edmond, and us, we talked about going back out and looking at projects again. And that's when we found this project, Fortistar, who actually got the project awarded to them. They had a little different outlook on what they were going to do. And we kind of considered it at the beginning by putting the gas back into the pipeline. We just couldn't get it done as a facility. And we do a lot of in-house stuff, but it was a big problem for us to get it done. I'm going to let Joel kind of talk a little bit about what's coming in the project, but just to give you a little look prior to this project coming in, we've been trying to sell the gas for a while, and we just didn't want to settle.
And I'll say, back when I was the project manager for Jones Evans, working on the other side of the table with Perry, I'll never forget, from day one, he told me, I don't want to do a traditional energy project. He said, I want a fueling project. Right. And we couldn't make it happen, but now we are making it happen. So he's actually realizing his dream that he's had from day one. And that's why we kind of pushed for this. So basically the project is, we're going to take the gas out of the landfill through a very well-known process that's been around for a long time, being adapted to landfills now. They're going to clean up the gas, which basically means just separate out the methane, chill it, knock out condensate, get it to an appropriate pressure, and then feed it into the natural gas pipeline so that it can be purchased by end users for any number of things, but primarily natural gas fueling stations. Now,
from what we understand, this is one of the first projects like this in Florida. Why is this so unique, and why is this the first one?
Well, the challenges that we've come up against, which is getting the pipeline to let us in, is one of the biggest things. That's why it's the first in Florida. No one really wanted to take that on. Just kind of old thinking associated with the pipeline and landfill gas. When in essence, the gas that we're going to serve to the pipeline, when it's cleaned up, will actually be at a higher quality than what they take out of the ground, true natural gas. It's just been a hurdle that we've finally gotten over. That's why it's the first in Florida, but it makes perfect sense. And the regulatory environment where there's a requirement for a certain amount of renewables in the fueling industry is making the economics work. So those are the two biggest things. And we were able to get over those hurdles. And once those hurdles were cleared, of course, now we're clear to develop the project.
And Ken, one thing nice about that is, and Joel touched on a little bit, is for once being rural helped us. We don't have a lot of construction, which we all know causes a whole bunch of issues when you're burying out in your landfill. So again, for once it helped us to be in rural, where we were located, a rural landfill. So when they came out and looked at what we had, the type of gas, quality of gas, they were really pleased. Matter of fact, for a while there, we went back and forth, didn't know the project was going to happen or not. And Fortistar stuck to their guns, and they didn't want it to go anywhere else. They wanted New River's gas. I do believe we've kind of cultivated our waste, made sure we didn't take a lot of special waste, made sure we didn't take a whole bunch of industrial waste, which we've been offered in the past, but we've turned it down or took just enough in our 3 counties to keep our counties waste down where it's supposed to be. And I think that's helped us in the long run, really and truly.
Fortistar's primary developer and responsible charge of this project was formerly with Waste Management. He pretty much developed about 90% of all renewable landfill gas projects in the United States. He's a well-known industry leader, and he has repeatedly said he's never seen better gas, obviously for the reasons that Perry's talking about, plus the way we manage the well field. So a number of the hurdles that would have cost the project more in upfront costs to clean up the fuel or make it so that they could convert it to this level of methane they need don't exist here at New River. So that's another reason why it's very attractive to Fortistar.
Well, plus I think, New River's got a long life ahead of it. You're about to build another cell, and then there's a whole area for phase 2. So you've got plenty of landfill expansions to make, and then which creates more gas.
We also have long-term contracts with 3 of our our customer counties. So we're 6 counties. We're 1,000 tons a day right now. I don't see that going away. I think those counties are all growing.
Right.
So like all counties in the state of Florida, you know, so that's a big, yeah. They see the growth. They see that we're not going to grow too fast, and we can manage our waste coming in, which is really important if you're going to try to sell quality gas.
Right. Now, Joel, you mentioned economic benefits, but not only to Forestar, but there's economic benefits to New River as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's basically a profit sharing setup. But basically, the contract is such that when they sell the fuel, we will receive a certain percentage of those revenues. And so basically, as we get to it's a tiered approach. Once we start sending them a certain percentage of gas, then that we bump up to the next tier. Very, very profitable way of looking at it for us. You know, throwing numbers around, it could be anything that's based on what they actually sell, but you're looking on average, probably over the life of the contract, $1 million plus a year is what's going to be realized by New River. Whereas all the other projects, they're either shuttering them because they're no longer making any money, or they're trying to change course on them. So,
well, that was the question I had for you. I mean, there are other facilities that have tried to do maybe not the same kind of project, but, you know, similar gas to energy project, but didn't have the success or potential success that you're going to have. You know, why do you think that has occurred throughout Florida?
Well, go ahead. One thing that we did in the contract, we made sure of, is we didn't release our well field. So obviously that made Forestar nervous about, you know, how important it was going to be for us to produce gas for them. And I've looked at 50, 60 projects all over the United States. And what I saw was you had the company that was cleaning up the gas, fighting with the landfill that's producing the gas. And unless they got the whole well filled, there was always this huge conflict. So I think the way the pay scale is set up, it helps New River to produce gas. If we produce gas, we make more money. So it's a good thing, but we also have our own Title V permit. So if we give up our gas field and they do something to hurt us, it would cost us money. So I think it's going to be like we've done with our other counties and contractors and subs. Us working together to get a good product is what made Forestar really want to join and be part of this.
And, you know, the other types of projects, power projects where you're taking the fuel and running generators, that just, the economics don't work anymore with the cost of natural gas and how power can be produced in other ways. Those projects were marginal at best. Classic thing that is done is there's rather than being conservative, there's an overly aggressive approach to gas modeling and how much you're going to produce and how much power is going to be produced. We've seen that with other counties and other projects, and unfortunately they never hit their targets. So with us, we were very conservative. We wrote the contract such that we don't have to guarantee any certain amount. We don't have to put up any funding, and we don't have to have a certain gas quality, believe it or not, though we all have a gentleman's agreement on what that's going to be like. And then we've been feeding them data over the last 6 months so they can see what our actuals are. And we're killing those. We're exceeding them far. So I think that's the other unique part, is we were not aggressive, and up front we were very conservative with what we thought could be done. Forestar as a partner is strategic because they own many other arms of their company, including natural gas fueling stations, you know, other types of things. So they're in a better position to sell that gas and receive money on credits over a larger portfolio than just one particular thing.
You guys have touched a little bit on this. You know, New River has had to get ready for this, or they're trying to get ready. So there's different things you're doing at the landfill to, you know, to ensure that the gas is going to be produced. So, you know, maybe talk about a little bit about what you're doing at the landfill.
Well, you touched a little bit on it, Ken, earlier. We closed that side slope, so that's going to help right there. We've done that. We actually prepared the site prior to them getting here. We paved back to where they're going to be. We've already got a flare that handles, you know, 2,000 CFM or greater. It's up to 3,000. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we've got some of that already in place. We also put a condensate drop on the piece of property prior to them showing up. We knew something was going to go there. We just didn't know who it was going to be. We were going to find somebody. That was one thing Joel and I both, when we got, and Daryl, it was very important to Daryl O'Neill, the prior director, is to get that for these rural counties. You know, there's not a lot of tax base in these counties, and any profit, any money that we can make to help them, we feel is very important for us to do. Our board's been very, very supportive of this project and other projects. They let us take on the building of cells and stuff like that. It saved them money, but it also let us hire people locally and give jobs locally that you just can't get here if you don't work for the prison or the logging business or the school board here in these 3 small counties. And nothing wrong with any of those jobs, but there's only so many they can hire. Then you have to leave the counties to work. We lose good employees. There's good people out there trying to work locally, just can't do it. So we don't hire a lot, but we do hire and keep them in these counties. And I think if you look at New River's record, the other thing is you said get ready to prepare for this. If it wasn't for the research we do out here, where we've got years of research done at this facility, we're probably the most tested landfill in the United States. You guys see a lot of that, Ken. We've done every kind of probe and temperature gauge been put in this landfill over the years, but also the collection of gas and analyzing our gas. So we had years of that. It wasn't just Perry and Joel telling Fortistar we're a great place. We had proof of it, years of it. So that helped quite a bit also.
Yeah, I think
and then so. in addition to that, we've been innovative, as you mentioned earlier, with the iWells. Right. We've been innovative with gas collection in a way that most facilities aren't, and that is we like to collect from the ground up rather than reverse. We know that we can get good quality gas early on in the landfill, which was something that wasn't thought was possible for years. But Jones Edmonds, coupled with us, we kind of knew that wasn't the case from our research. So we put in gas collection infrastructure from the bottom up. Right. So as soon as we start getting a decent layer of waste in, we can collect gas early. So this is just a few of the things we've done to kind of be ready as soon as they're ready to get on site. We're
collecting gas off the sand layer from cell 5, cell 6, and a future cell 7 coming up. We've been doing that from the get-go. I'm not saying no one ever done that, but it hasn't been done around me. I've not seen it done. And we see great gas coming off of it. They're talking, oh, you got to have 10 years of waste placed before you get good gas. We're seeing it in 3. We wall that sand and we floor that sand out with garbage. We see gas coming out of there right then, and it's good quality. Yeah. So why not collect it early? And it's not just a plug. We've seen that too. It's not a plug of good gas. It's good gas.
Yep.
And I mentioned earlier the City Works. I mean, that was just an attempt to help make the maintenance and the control of the system, and just another way that you guys are trying to make it more efficient, which is what you talked about earlier.
We have 20 employees. So with 20 employees, we run a landfill 1,000 tons a day. We cover all of our dirt. No one hauls that in. There's no contractors or anything like that. We do cell 7 construction or cell construction. We also do all of our pipe welding. Every bit of the gas pipe that went into New River Solid Waste. We had John Sullivan come out and drill our wells, but all of the gas connecting of all those wells, putting all that in, our header pipe going in with the supervision of Jones Edmond and our employees, we've got all that done. That's pretty impressive with 20 employees getting that done. So yeah, we have to have something like City Work to help us work through that, where at times you're sitting in an office, you can't get out in the field as a supervisor or director. You can go in and direct what's going on in the landfill or check what's going on in the landfill by using City Works. It's been a blessing to us.
And Perry's always been forward thinking. Back when I worked for Jones Edmonds, he would always tell me kind of his ideas of how to manage the site. And I always knew in my mind it would eventually be GIS based, because that's some of my background, but no one had ever tried City Works. In fact, when we talked to City Works people directly, they said we were the first. So I told Perry, I said, hey, we got this shell of a program that we can kind of adapt to anything. Let's try it at the landfill. We did with Jones Edmonds support, and it's been great. Helping us manage the well field was the first thing, and it's just been great for us to be able to manage the wells, know what's happening at them, and know that the work that needs to be done is being done on a daily basis.
Right, and that's only going to make it better for the whole system.
And then it goes back to all the technology you have. It helps you prove what you're doing in the field. You have records, and that's what helped us with this gas project. Yep. We had years of records, and the same thing with moving forward with the City Works. You'll have background information you can go back and pull anytime you need it, whether it's for a board or whether it's for a project or whether you just want to know what your costs are. A lot of larger counties do that by having employees and hard copies, and we're too small. So this helps us pull it together and be able to go back and look at it. I can ask Joel what a project, well, the pipeline's a perfect example in the gas end. We know it's costing us something. So when I got to start paying gas techs and finding out what I'm actually spending in gas, he can pull it really quick by using this, the City Works.
No, it is amazing what you guys accomplish with the crew that you have and the small crew that you have. And when I said earlier, how you're involved in construction, you are literally involved in the construction. You're literally doing it. I don't know if that came clear, but you're actually doing it.
We don't do liner work, but pretty much everything else we're involved in.
Exactly. So let's talk about the construction schedule. When are we going to get this thing operated and start putting gas in the pipeline?
So they're supposed to mobilize in mid-June to the site. They've already got all the equipment on order, and they've already started engineering in earnest. We've already looked at and approved the site plan and the conceptual plan for the actual facility. So June, they plan to mobilize. They'll construct for several months, and by late fall, early winter, they'll have it up and operating in that transitional period where they're working all the bugs out. And so their goal is, by contract, they have to have commercial operations, which means they're actually selling and monetizing the gas by March of next year. But their hope is January, February at the latest.
That's awesome. And then we know permits are starting to go in. So obviously they need some permits, and those are getting into DEP, and hopefully we'll get those, and that won't be an issue. So,
and we had a nice meeting with DEP, with Jones Edmonds staff and us and Fortistar's design people. We had a pre-application meeting for the Title V permitting for the facility, and they were excited about it. It's a first for them, first permit that they've ever done like this, and they were really excited about the beneficial use of the gas.
Awesome. So we've talked a lot about innovation. This project definitely being innovative. What's next for New River? I know you guys are always probably thinking of something else, in the future. So what is the next big thing?
Don't give Perry any ideas. Come on now.
Well, Cell 7 is the last footprint in this phase of our landfill. Now, we did purchase more land, and eventually we're probably moving over that way. So right now we're kicking around. We excavated our class 3, and that's where Cell 7 is going in right now. So right now we're kicking around a little bit. We've been talking with Jones Edmonds, our engineers, and looking at what's coming next. My guess is we're going to really start working on that cell rotation, where we can push out, maybe not building cells, so because we don't have infinite amount of land where we are. We're surrounded by swamps, so we're pretty much footprint wise where we're at. So I think the next thing for us is we're going to really start looking at that project. Also, leachate. We're going to really be looking at leachate, how we're going to handle our leachate from here on out. It's getting harder and harder to put them in the wastewater treatment plants. It's no fault of theirs. Their regulations have changed. They're working hard to meet their regulations. They all have permits just like we do. So there's got to be something. We've been working with Tim Townsend and Steve and UF students. We've got some projects going on out right now I'm pretty excited about. And also, you got to look at down the road, and I know it's way down the road, but these landfills, these line landfills are not going to be able to close. You're not walking away from this in 30 years. How are we going to keep the pumps going? How are we going to keep all that done and walk away? We've got a lot longer than 30 years for this site, but eventually we got to look at that. So what do you do with the leachate? Where are you going to go from there? So I think those 3 things are going to be my biggest push. I'm kind of at the end of my time, here at New River. I mean, I got some years left, but it's not like I was when I started looking at gas, so I'm kind of hoping we can get some of that worked out and move towards doing something other than just strictly trying to truck it to a wastewater treatment plant. UF is working real hard with us. We've looked at a lot. They're studying our leachate. I'm pretty excited about that. That's one thing about solid waste. There's a lot to be excited about as long as you keep pushing forward. I mean, I guess if you're just gonna, pile it up and cover it with dirt and call it good, it could be pretty boring. But it's not our philosophy.
Yeah, we think the future right now is there's a lot of talk about on-site treatment, wetlands treatment, and definitely we want to keep exploring that. But we think the future right now is pre-treatment, affordable pre-treatment, so that when we have leachate that's been pre-treated, the wastewater treatment plants will actually want it. They'll be like, yes, send it to us. It'll almost be like water for them.
Correct.
And then we make their job easier, our job is easier, and we also reduce some of the expense. So that's what we're exploring right now, and we hope to have something pilot ready in place in the next several months, and then over the next couple of years get it finalized.
Yeah, leachate is a common problem or issue right now for many landfills, and I know, New River will be in the forefront of whatever we come up with, and we want to, and that probably be a future podcast because it is such a hot topic and very important, and some of that, how that ties into the PFAS, regulations that are coming down and what that's going to mean, with leachate. So there's a lot of things associated with that we really can talk about, on a podcast. But we've already hit our topic for today, so we'll save that one for an upcoming podcast. I do have a question. There was a question from someone. If I can find where it is. Ah, here it is. Okay. We have a question from Alan Castro. He's asking about the pipeline quality. Are you being required to achieve 1,000 BTU per cubic foot quality level to go into the pipeline?
It'll be a little bit under that. It'll be in the high 900s.
Because then he's saying, if so, do you envision that quality standard coming down over time? And do you plan on using propane in the operations process to help get the RNG energy density up to that level?
Definitely. They definitely have put in their financial model a supplementation with propane if need be. Their hope is they don't have to with the technology that they have, but it's built into the financial model. And like I said, we're below 1,000. We're in that high 900s. And based on our current gas quality and the treatment system that's been designed, everyone feels like we can achieve it.
You gotta remember also, they see a lot of dirty gas come out of landfills. There's a lot of dirty gas that comes out of them. I think once they see how it's cleaned up, how it's going to the pipeline, I think some of that will loosen up some of those restrictions on how it's going in and all. Being first is not always the best, but somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to push forward. So I think if we can get it on the pipeline and they see they're not going to have a problem with our gas, and they're not, then I think some of that will kind of loosen up a little bit. They have end users right now. I mean, we've been contacted by people who are using gas off that pipeline who wants that green gas. Fortistar has first shot at it, so they're going to take it all. They want everything. But there's other utilities, there's other companies out there that want it. They just can't get it because of the pipeline holding off on it. So I think once we get on, it'll be much easier for the next person. And I think we'll see a lot more of that.
And the agreements have been worked out as far as quality issues with Florida Gas Transmission, FGT. So the spec has been designed and agreed upon by all parties. Yep. Now it's just getting a couple of regulatory issues cleared up, and then we got the green light.
We had another question. Is your contract with Fortistar available to the public?
We are a public agency, so once it's finally signed and executed, it becomes a matter of public record.
Right.
I say that our contract is signed with them. It's the lease that we don't have signed, so the complete deal is not done yet. There's some property.
Yeah, the contract as far as the gas sales agreement, that's complete, and it is a matter of public record. Just make a request through our website, and we can get a copy to anybody.
The only thing we have left is a lease, and it's done. We're just waiting on them to sign it.
Well, Perry, Joel, I really appreciate you guys being here. I think it was a great conversation, great project. I know we're looking forward to, helping getting it constructed and putting some gas in the pipeline. I want to thank everyone for being here today and joining us. And if you ever have any questions, you can contact myself at kvogeljonesedmonds.com, or you can contact Perry and Joel at New River. They'd be glad to talk to you. I'm sure they'd be glad to have you come visit the landfill as well and show you around so that you see what they're doing, especially once the project gets built. I'm sure you'll be glad to give anyone a tour of the project.
Absolutely.
All you guys over here that joined in, good seeing you guys. Jason, all you guys, Alan.
Awesome. Well, thank you and appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for having us. We're happy to be a part of it.
Anytime. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.